But first, it's the question the industry wants answered. What happens after Brexit? A clear strategy for the future is crucial. Well, the Chamber is working to ensure the industry is able to take full advantage of this unprecedented lobbying opportunity. It has gathered a panel of experts to discuss the implications of the vote.
The EU referendum result may have left the political classes all at sea, but as the shockwaves ripple around Westminster, the industry which helped to make Britain great by shipping its goods around the world is looking forward and to new opportunities.
What we're now looking to do is build our manifesto, go through with our members and with our policy experts the kind of detailed regulation and legislative elements of what Brexit may mean for us and ensure that we take advantage of this unprecedented lobbying opportunity.
That's the thinking behind this special event, which was organised by the UK Chamber of Shipping to assess the implications of Brexit on the industry.
Governments' minds will never be more open. They will never be more willing to listen than in the next few months.
Among those present, experts in the political, trade, economic and legal implications of Brexit.
There is an extraordinary time now to get in there and get your message across. This is completely new territory. We don't know how to do this. We've never had a department for exiting the European Union. So, these people are sort of crying out for information and knowledge.
Free movement of labour is, of course, vitally important to the shipping industry, a point picked up on when discussion turned to what a post-Brexit trade deal might look like.
I think what's very important to the sort of shipping industry these days is sort of financial issues, financing sort of ships, insurance issues. And if you retain the sort of Europe single market through the EEA, those passporting rights to be able to operate across the EU are preserved.
Changes in custom rules were a concern for this delegate amid the possible implications for the shipping of perishable goods.
What would you think is likely to come into force or to replace the current regulatory arrangements for that kind of trade?
Some of it depends on what the UK does, what its own sort of customs code is, the approach it adopts, and some of it depends on the EU's.
It's lack of clarity on a range of issues that has been spooking financial markets, but broad agreement on one issue, at least according to economists.
The consensus amongst economists is that Brexit is going to have a negative impact on the UK economy, largely through reduced trade and investment. And most of the analysis will give you numbers in this ballpark, which is 1 to 3% over 5 years, 2 to 8% over 10 years.
But a view clearly not shared by everyone.
So in 2007, the Chancellor of the Exchequer said, presumably with some of the best macroeconomic advice around, no more boom and bust. Where were the economists then? Do you want to know why people didn't listen? Because the advice was so appallingly wrong in the past.
That's a fair question. I completely agree with you. As a profession, we failed when it came to the financial crisis, but that was not the trade economists. That was macroeconomics.
While predictions of the future drew out divisions,
I'm glad you got your question out of the way on the previous speaker.
One speaker focused on the potential upside of Brexit.
If you look at Singapore as a maritime nation and how it attracts business in, of course, the predominant driver is a very, very favourable tax regime. And so if we're free of the EU rules against state aid, there is an opportunity there to give tax breaks to the maritime sector.
A positive message which some present were keen to emphasise.
I think we've listened to our learned colleague maybe a little bit too much. I'm very much an optimist. And I think we need to try and talk ourselves rather than in the negative sense. Everyone's saying, there's all these problems, but there might be an opportunity. I'd rather turn it around the other way and say, OK, what are the opportunities, The
collective expertise that we have in this country is such that whatever needs to be dealt with will be dealt with, and successfully as well. And it's the Chamber who is one of the most important organisations on behalf of the UK industry to take that forward. And we will be much more powerful if we act together.
So an upbeat stance to end a day of debate and over drinks, a chance for reflection.
Politics hasn't been this interesting for a long time, but it's an interest that I'd happily forego for certainty.
I've just finished speaking to one of my latest members, and they literally made the finalised decision to move to the UK 1.5 weeks after the vote. So, I really do think there are opportunities there.
A message which will help to inform the Brexit manifesto the Chamber is compiling for government.